Hello YouTube family, thank you for tuning in today, and hopefully you have been enjoying the Real Talk with Earica Cole. We have been programmed now for a little bit over a month, and so I'm truly excited about how we're growing. Listen, if you are not subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you click the link to subscribe to Earica Cole's YouTube channel. Again, we do the Real Talk every Monday, which gives you an opportunity to hear just some foundation information from me, whether it be about money management, whether it be about health related concerns, whether it be about personal wellness and spirituality. So we're having a really good time on the show. If you have any suggestions, make sure you put it in the comments feed for us. So today I want to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart: protecting your personal assets. Protecting your personal assets. Listen, many of us, we don't like to think about the inevitable, right? No one wants to talk about when they leave this earth. We always like to talk about the afterlife, and maybe, depending on your spirituality, you believe in an afterlife, you believe in, heaven or hell or whatever, your thoughts are. However, but we have to understand that the assets that we have here on earth, what happens to them once something happens to you? And so many people aren't prepared for the inevitable. I worked in the banking industry for almost 18 years before I became a full-time entrepreneur. And I saw time and time again where families had no clue what to do after their loved one passed. Many times people have financial institutions where they have monies, they have savings accounts, they have checking accounts, they have property, they have all this stuff, and no one is aware what to do. And so I want to talk today just about some basic principles about protecting your assets. So grab a pen and paper and let's get started. First, if you have money at a financial institution, whether that be a checking account, a savings account, money market, certificate of deposit, whatever that is, okay? If there is someone joint on your account, understand that the joint owner has just as much right to that money as you do, okay? So either one of you can withdraw, either one of you can deposit, transfer funds, or whatever if they're joint on the account. But oftentimes people don't have someone join on their account, and that's absolutely fine. So if no one is joined on your account, should something happen to you, who gets the assets? What happens to your family? Think about that. I want to encourage every single one of you that don't have someone join on your account, or even if you do have someone join on your account, you want to go into your account, your financial institution, and tell them that you want to have a beneficiary on your account. Write that down. Do I have beneficiaries on all of my financial accounts? The beneficiary, if there's no joint, the beneficiary now is able to go in with a death certificate, with their driver's license and their, identification, and they get the assets from whatever accounts that you have available. Now, if you have a joint, the joint owner automatically gets those funds. But let's say husbands and wives, God forbid, if something were to happen to the both of you, you're together and you're thinking, okay, if something were to happen to me, I have a joint, my spouse or my partner is on that account, they're going to get it. But what if you're together? Then what? So even as joint owners, you still want to put a beneficiary. Remember, the joint owner is the first person that has the right to the account. But if something is to happen to both parties, the beneficiary is next. If there's no joint owner, make sure that you have a beneficiary on your account. So that's homework assignment number 1, okay? Make sure that I have a beneficiary on all of my accounts. Listen, you may have a checking account, you may have a savings account, you may have a money market account. You may want to split those accounts and give them to various people. That's absolutely fine. You may want to even do percentages. Most forms at financial institutions say, well, do you want to give a percentage to so-and-so? So maybe you have multiple children. You want to give 50% to one child and 50% to another. Or maybe you want to do 25, 25, 25, 25. However you want to split the money that resides in the account, you can fill that out on the beneficiary form. If your children, okay, are under the age of 18, then you want to make sure that you have a beneficiary that you can trust, that will make sure that your children receive the money by the time that they're 18 if you want to do it that way. So there's various ways that you can split the money up. I encourage every one of you to go to your financial institution and speak to whoever the representative is to find out what your options are. How much does this cost? $0. Taking the time to do this costs you $0. Not doing this, what happens to your money? After so many years, it becomes what's called a dormant account at the financial institution, and that money is sent to the state, whatever state you live in, okay? And so then your children, your family, your heirs, they then have to go through probate and fight to get the money. Many of them don't know how to do that. So oftentimes money is sent to the state, and the children, the heirs, no one gets that money because they don't know what to do. They don't know the steps to take. So please take the opportunity to put a beneficiary on your account. Then I want to speak to my entrepreneurs out there. And some of us have businesses and it's just in our names, or it's in our spouse's names, or however we do that. What happens to you and the assets that are in those business accounts? Business accounts don't allow you to do beneficiaries, so you have to have something in writing stating what needs to happen to the funds that are in any of your business accounts. Take the time to do that. Make yourself a note. I'm very, very opinionated about having a will. I think every family member should have a will. Anybody at a certain age, when you start getting assets, whether it's assets of finances, assets of cars or houses, or even just furniture, things like that, you need to have a will. If it's not in writing, your family has no legal commitment to any of those items. Write it out. It doesn't take long. Sometimes people are thinking, oh, I got to get an attorney. I have to pay attorney fees. I have to pay this. That's not the case. You can literally write it out, type it out, the different assets that you have, take it in front of a notary, get it signed, stamped, and then give all parties involved. You can always update it if you want to update it. If you have children, if you're married or whatever, you can update your will and make sure that everybody, again, all parties have the most recent copy of the will. Not only be prepared if something were to happen to you where you're deceased, but what if you were to go into a coma, God forbid, or you were in a situation where you could not go to the bank, or you could not, fill out a deposit or withdrawal slip, and you needed to maintain your household. I want to encourage you all too to get what's called a power of attorney to protect your assets. A power of attorney gives an individual the right to act on your behalf. In certain instances, you can get someone to be a power of attorney, which is general, and they could do various things of kind of all things for you, or you can get them just to be in the financial area of power of attorney. You can Google those docs online and find out which is applicable. But if you need someone to handle some business matters for you, in the event that you are incapacitated, you got to make sure that that is in writing. You can't say, oh, well, that's my spouse, they're just going to let them do it. They're not going to let them do it. And someone actually has to have legal documentation in order to act on your behalf. And so get that power of attorney. Again, it could be a spouse, it could be a parent, it could be a sister, whoever you trust. And that way they can act on your behalf in the event that you are incapacitated. However, what you have to understand, if for some reason you don't make it and you become deceased, that power of attorney is then null and void, okay? And so they don't then act on your behalf, or they can't create your own will and those kind of things. But the power of attorney is in the event that you're just incapacitated, or you're in a coma or something like that, and someone can go and make sure that your family is taken care of, the finances that they need in order to pay the bills and those kind of things. They can continue to do business as usual, okay? And so you have those conversations with your family as well. It is time for us to be more responsible with our assets and protecting our assets. There's things out there like life insurance policies, and those of you that as you get to a certain level of financial responsibility, you want to make sure that you have the right amount of life insurance. If you're the breadwinner for your family, if you're the primary breadwinner for your family, think about your family, think about your spouse, think about your children, think about your household. Would you leave them in a situation of desperate need? Would you leave them in a situation that they can carry on life without you and they're already in pain? Let's be honest. When our loved ones leave us, it's already a very difficult situation. We talked about grief a few weeks ago. And so there's already this pain and this void that is there. But now they have to take on the challenges of maintaining the household, paying the bills, and sometimes your creditors will even try to come after your family members. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the year of the big. Let's get our house in order. Let's think about some things. Sit down as a family unit. Talk to one another. Those of you that have children that are of age, you got to start having these conversations. I get it. Me and my sisters, we have these conversations often with my mom, especially as she's getting older. But we started having these conversations literally after my father passed away, because my father was the breadwinner of the house. But luckily, my mom and dad took the opportunity to make sure that the house was in order, because my mom, she was a stay-at-home mother. She worked at our church, but my father was the breadwinner of the house. But she was able to maintain the same way of life after he was deceased. So I challenge every one of you, again, take the time, sit down and talk about those accounts that you have. Talk about the assets as far as your housing, your cars, and whatever material items that you would want to pass on as heirlooms. Again, if the children are underage, then you want to find somebody that you trust that will actually be able to guide them and make sure that they inherited what you leave them. You can also do what's called a trust. A trust is a great opportunity so you can roll and make sure that all of your assets are defined and spelled out in a instrument where you can have a trustee, and let's say it's somebody that you trust with all of your heart, and you know that they're going to make sure it's carried out. They don't have to get anything. It doesn't mean that they're going to get all of your assets, but they can oversee how you want what to go to who, And so especially if you have a lot of assets, if you want to just spell it out in a trust, a lot of times a trust is a way to protect a lot of your assets, especially your home, your businesses. Many of you have even other things like heirlooms and things that you want to, again, be able to provide to your children. So let's be mindful in 2022. Let's be present in 2022. We talked about this being the year of the big. We want to make sure that our homes and our family and our children and our grandchildren are provided for. We want to make sound business decisions. We want to make sound financial decisions, and we want to make sure that our loved ones are protected, and we're not going to give our money to the state that we live in. I love you guys. God bless you, and have a wonderful rest of your week.